So what I would like to do is first, I'm going to have the three student panelists introduce themselves and say a few things about themselves. And then I have a series of questions that I ask them to think about in advance. And then after we talk about those questions, really open up the floor so that folks in the audience can ask them some questions, right? And the idea here is that the whole week is dedicated to adult education. The reason that we're here is because of students, right? And so we really need to keep the students first and foremost and centered as part of our thinking. And so who better to give us insights into adult education than adult learners, right? And so this is an opportunity to hear directly from adult learners. So it may be that the 5 questions that I posed sort of answer some of the questions that you have. But certainly we're going to have time to go a little bit broader and to think about what other insights you would like to hear from the students. All right, so I'm going to go alphabetically. I'm going to go old school style alphabetically and ask the students to kind of give a little bit of background about themselves and what brought them here. So Georgina, do you want to go first and introduce yourself and say a few words?
Yeah, of course. Hello, everyone. My name is Georgina Ramirez. I am from Mexico, well, from Guadalajara, Jalisco. I have 2 kids and I live here in Lawrenceville, New Jersey since 2016 with my husband. And he has a visa. That's why I'm here. And I began with literacy New Jersey as a volunteer with some translations in English to Spanish in 2018. And after that, as a student. And in 2020, I took training to be a tutor. So since 2020, I had some, students, beginner students, and it has been a really good experience to meet people from different countries and to learn from other students as well. And thank you so much.
Right. So thanks, Georgina. So Georgina is not uncommon, right? People who transition from being a student into being a tutor or being a teacher or being involved in a program in some other way. All right. Maritza, do you want to say a few things about yourself?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Maritza Chan. I came from Peru, I think 7 years ago. I came in 2015 with my husband and 2 children, 2 daughters. Actually, I am a library assistant in the Bloomfield Public Library, but I started as a student from the LDA. And I think that's it.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Maritza. And last but not least, Catherine, do you want to say a few words about yourself?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Catherine Stopp. I'm from the Dominican Republic. I have 2 wonderful children. I've been here in the United States since 2010. I lived New York. Then in 2017, I moved to New Jersey. I started studying literacy in New Jersey, like an ESL student, and I was a computer skill student too. And right now, I am a data specialist at Literacy New Jersey Union in Middlesex County.
Okay, great.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Catherine. All right, so the first question that I had for all 3 of the students, former students, well, we're all students at all times, right? That how do you balance being a student with the rest of your responsibilities, right? You've got families, you've got jobs, you've got lives. So how do you go about balancing being a learner, being a student with all the other responsibilities you have? And we can go in whatever order, whichever one of you wants to start speaking.
Me, Catherine?
Sure, go ahead, Catherine.
Okay. When I started studying at Literacy New Jersey in August 2021, one of the hardest things that I have to do is I have 2 young children. And that is a lot of responsibility and take me a lot of time. But my children were the reason that motivated me to keep me focused in my classes.
Okay. All right. So you've got the kids and you've got classes. How did you balance kids and classes?
Oh, for me, the best things was take it in the nighttime because I have two young children, right? And
Mhm.
my husband working all the time. But in the nighttime, he's go here and he take care of them while I'm taking the classes.
All right. So it was really important for you to have classes available at night.
Yes.
In order
In
to-
the better thing for me was online too, because I
Okay.
don't have to go anyway. I'm taking at home.
Okay. All right, good. Georgina, Maritza, how do you balance being a learner and your other responsibilities?
Well, I can go. Well, at the beginning was really hard because when you come to this country, I was an English study in my country too. So when I came here, I thought that I knew how to speak English, but when I put my first feet here, I went to McDonald's and I say, oh my God, I don't understand anything. So it's really hard. But then you don't have only, you have to learn English and also you have your family, as Catherine said. So between the family and the necessity to learn, it's like you need support. So my support came from my family, but also came from angels. I call angels because when I went to the Bloomfield Public Library, I found LBA and they were a great support for me. They were all very nice people who tried to help me to learn. And they give me the opportunity also to be a volunteer. So I think it's very important, all that you have around you that can support you emotionally and can support you as a, as a friend. It's very important. Also the family, because sometimes my parents help me with the girls, my husband also, and he has to learn too. So my daughters didn't know English too. So it's like everybody have to help each other.
Right. So in full disclosure, Christian from LVA and Bloomfield's on the call. So of course she's saying nice things about LVA Bloomfield because Christian's here. So and
we'll take
but I
care
think-
of it later, Maritza. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, and Maritza, I'm sure like probably many of us on this call who were born in the United States and studied an additional language had that experience of going abroad and being like, I speak French or I speak German. And then you're like, wait, what? I guess I don't.
Yes.
except that we were there for vacation, right? And so we came home, but you're in that situation, and for a long period of time, right? Where you're like, I thought I spoke English, but I mean, also granted, you're trying to speak English in New Jersey, right? So then there's an accent and everything else. So also hard to manage. Georgina, how do you balance being a learner and all of your other life responsibilities?
Well, of course, like my the other ladies say, is just to balance and have support from your family, your friends, your tutors. These organizations that they give us really this kind of an opportunity, and also they have virtual lessons that is really convenient when you have kids and you need to cook every single day, and they have gymnastic classes, etc. So usually during the night, I just complete my homework that Catherine Mitch gave us, and just to balance, because there are a lot of things around students, and but the other thing is that decide. I mean, if you really want to learn, because you must, I mean, you have the necessity to express your ideas with your kids and the doctor's office and everywhere. You need to have conversations and talk and ask questions. So I really want to learn more and more. And I think every single day I learn different things from different people. And when I have the opportunity to talk with them, most of the time I learn something.
Mhm.
And that is amazing.
Yep. So I think recognizing that our students have to do this balancing I think allows us to not take things personally as teachers. So I remember my class at Make the Road New Jersey has been online since the pandemic started, and it's probably going to stay online, right? Because it allows people from all around New Jersey to come to the class and not just people that live in the town. And there have been times when one of my students in class has been on their cell phone, like they logged in on their cell phone and it's in their kitchen, and I can see them like cooking dinner, like while they've got the phone up, right? Because they gotta make dinner for their family, right? And to not feel offended or slighted as a teacher, right? To be like, oh, how come you're not giving your full attention to me? It's like, they got to balance, like they got to make dinner, right? They got to feed their family. So just to not take it personally. All right. So then you get here, you're managing this work-life balance. You're getting support from your family. You're getting support from other people. What were some other hard things about starting to learn English? Maybe English especially, were there some hard things about just the language that we should be aware of, like as English teachers, that are particularly difficult for English learners?
Well,
Well, yeah.
no,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead,
ahead,
sir.
Georgina.
Okay, well, it's a really hard process. I am from Mexico, so when you think about in Spanish, and after that you put on your mind your ideas, but after that just translate all the things in English and say that in English. So it's a really complicated process, and it has been really hard. Not just English and grammar and things like how you can write correctly, but also the pronunciation, the conversations, the phrasal verbs, and different kind of things that Catherine and other tutors show us how to say that, in what is the best time to say something, to be polite. So there are more, not just grammar, but also other things.
Right. Well, and Georgina, you just mentioned two words that probably like 99% of native English speakers have never uttered, which is phrasal verbs. So, so people who grow up speaking English, right, never have to think about what a phrasal verb is, right? And so, so certainly thinking about the grammar in a way that, native speakers didn't necessarily have to think about. In
Yeah,
fact,
but I'm sorry, because for you it's really easy. I mean, it's your way to have conversation like in Spanish. Of course, we have this kind of things that say, I never think about that. This is phrasal verb. So, but yeah,
yeah,
we must learn that.
I am, at Montclair State, I teach master's courses for teachers, for literacy teachers. And the other day I asked them, we were talking about syntax and grammar, and I was like, all right, so who can explain the perfect tenses to me? And they were all like, I gotta go. Like, so if you speak it, you don't necessarily are able to articulate the rules, right? You just know the rules. Yeah, Maritza, any
Well,
difficult things about learning English in particular?
yeah, well, I think one of the hardest thing is to have the energy to start in a new country. It's a financial, you have to start with with all your budget again. And also you have the family. So it made the balance between that, have all the energy was one of the hardest. And then all the courses were very expensive. When you're starting a new country, it's really hard to try, to pay these expensive courses. So that was one of the hardest part for me to start learning. But well, it's just, and also you don't have enough information around sometimes because the language is a limit. And I am a psychologist in my country. So when I came here, it's like I can say I was nothing, because I can understand very well. I can, it's really hard also communicate with the teachers. So that's the hardest part.
Okay. I certainly understand the problem of not having enough information, right? I think especially about what your options are like when it comes to learning English or other classes. I know in the past that when I was in Massachusetts, I taught at a community college, and because it was a community college class, students were paying for the class with their Pell Grants, and I don't think they really understood what was going on. So after a couple of semesters, they might not have made progress. And then the school was like, sorry, you've used up your Pell Grant. You can't keep going. And the students were like, I really have no idea what you're talking about. Right. Like, so I think that was really sort of took advantage of them to become kind of a Pell Grant mill. Right. And the students didn't have the full information to make decisions about what it is that they were doing. Catherine, what about you? Anything about English or otherwise getting started that was difficult?
Yes, when in my country I study English, I thought that I'm not English. When I arrived here, I said, "Oh my God, I have to learn more because I didn't know anything." It's so hard because when you go to supermarket, to anywhere, it's so hard. And the hardest thing is that Spanish share when you arrive, right? You share with a Spanish person, you don't speak in English, right? Because you feel more comfortable, in your native language.
Mm-hmm.
But that the thing that is too hard because you have to focus, you have to choose your circle, right? To learn more. And I think that is for me so hard because for example, in our language, to say White House, I say house white, and you have to learn the difference. So hard to learn, right. And I am still learning.
Yeah. So it's not just different words for things, but the grammar and the syntax is different. I think, and I think, Catherine, you point out that of course you're going to spend time with people that speak a language that you already speak, right? Because that's comfortable and that feels like home. And so one of the things that I often hear, right, is about how children learn languages like sponges and grown-ups can't learn languages as quickly. And the research actually suggests it's the opposite, that adults actually can learn languages quicker than children can. But the difference is that we're often for those of us who say that are studying Arabic or Quechua or something, we're studying it a few hours a week, and then we're comparing it to children in the United States, who are immigrants exposed to English 24/7, right? And so adults who live in communities where they can still use their native language, they're being exposed to less English than a kid is, right? And so it's not that adults can't learn language, it's a question of how much exposure they have to the language. I'm not suggesting that people leave their communities. I just think it means that adults should give themselves a break, right? And not think, oh, I'm not smart, or I can't learn a language, or why is it so slow? And just recognize that you're not using English as much as your 7-year-old is, or your 10-year-old is, right? And so of course it's going to be longer for you if you're not using it as much. The difference is around age 14, they think maybe the accent, right? That after age 14, it's really difficult to learn the accent of somebody that is thought of as a native speaker, right? But as a grown-up, if you know what a phrasal verb is in Spanish, then you can figure out what a phrasal verb is in English, right? So there's actually even if you don't call it that, right? You can recognize that that's part of the grammar. All right, so you've already mentioned getting help from, family members and other people. What else was helpful for you when you were getting started?
Well, in my case, I had the opportunity to hear what other moms say, for example, in the playground area, and just go outside and at the beginning, like copy the sentences that the other people say. And it was really nice because, okay, at the beginning, I was watching, I was saying, okay, I repeat that. And that is a process that you say, if you don't practice, if you don't have this kind of an opportunity to practice whatever language that you really want is really hard. And also other activity that I do with my kids is I read aloud with them every night. So sometimes my daughter cries because say, "Mommy, now that we don't have enough time to read it," I just try to read every single day, and it's really good exercise. Not just because I read them every night, but also for me, because they correct and they say, "Oh, mommy, that is not the correct pronunciation for this word." So I have my own tutors with them. So that is amazing. I mean, yeah, it's really nice exercise. I really recommend this kind of practice. And also, if you like sing songs in English. Many years ago, I sang some songs in my country, even though I don't understand English, enough English. I just repeat that words and just to be more fluent in your English and just try. And I one of my favorite songs are Beatles songs because I think they are simple and thank you.
Yeah. So Georgina, Rachel made this point in the chat, right? That children learn in more fun ways, right? And I think that is true, right? So children are on the playground or they're playing games or things like that. And we need to create more opportunities for grown-ups to do that, right? Because, you know, I think, Georgina, you mentioned two important things. So one is routine, right? So finding things that you can do daily. But also when you're reading to your child, right? And your child's like, "Mom, that's not how you say that," right? That's different than your boss saying, "Georgina, that's not how you say that," right? So when your child says it to you, it's a little bit easier to hear, right? It's not as like, "Oh my gosh, I'm being criticized by a grown-up," right?
Yeah, but at the beginning, I was like, "Oh my goodness, I know they know that I don't know, how to say." And I say, "You know what? Because I am learning like you. I am learning more words and
Right.
just understand my situation. English is not my first language, and also yeah, find different ways with videos. I teach them a little bit. We learn together a little words in French, some numbers and colors, and just with songs. It has been really nice exercise also. But yeah, it's a good activity. Yeah.
So linguists call that the affective filter, right? That's sort of like, stress or fear of being wrong, right? And so the more we can get students to drop that affective filter, the easier it is for them to experiment with language and have fun. I can say personally, I'm not going to recommend this as a professor, but just as a person, my Japanese gets much better after I've had a couple beers. So when I just like relax a little bit and I don't worry about making mistakes, right?
Yeah.
So it comes out. Now, I'm not saying have a couple beers before you go to English class, right? But that's just the reality, right? That we get tense. And if we're tense, like it's hard to use the language. It's hard to have fun with the language. Yeah, Maritza, what was helpful for you when you?
Well, as a psychology, I knew that immersion is very important in the learning process. That's why I started when I was all the time at home. When I have to cook, I have the TV in English. I have all the radio in English. I try to, at the beginning, I didn't understand anything, but then when I started to realize that I can understand the news, I say, "Oh my God, I understand now what they say." It's like it's a process. So the immersion was really important. Also, when I didn't have a phone at home, but when I went to visit my parents, I started listening all the messages in the phone because I want, to practice the listening. I did many probably silly things, but my idea is the most that I can be in, I will learn better. That was one of the things. Also, I went to the learning apps like news. So there are some apps that can help you to learn. I use them too. for the vocabulary, what I did every day, I made my goal to learn one new word. So I have like a card, and every day I put one card in front of my bed, and I have to learn or have to remember about the word. Another thing that I can do is also, as Georgina, I read to my girls, and my girls at the beginning I read for them, but then they help me with the pronunciation. They help me with many things. So yeah, I think that's most of the thing that I did.
All right. I feel like understanding the news is a good thing and a bad thing. Like, oh my gosh, I can understand the news. And they're like, oh no, I can understand the news. Like, it's gonna be bad stuff that you hear. Catherine, what about you? Things that feel like that helped you when you get started?
Yes, the things that helped me was the video, the movies that I have to see with my kids, the music that I have to sing in English, the kids' music, and the homework. I have to help my children because one have 5 years old and the other one 8 years old, so young. I had to help them to make homework. I have to go to YouTube to understand and then to explain to them. For example, my daughter have to learn 18 hours a week, and I have to learn that pronunciation correctly because I had to say to her that she had to spell it because he have to learn that week. That's helped me too much. Of course, my children help me a lot because I have to see movie, to be videos, to sing music. That's the kinds that help me
All right.
a lot.
All right. So busting out Disney songs and other things like that.
Yes, Disney Junior, Disney
Yeah,
Channel.
Yeah. So what do you feel like you've learned about being a student then, and about being a learner? Right. So you've mentioned, like, what was hard, what helped you. Like, are there things that you feel like you've learned about being a student or about being a learner?
I have learned from my other friends. For example, during our class, we talk about our culture or traditions or ways that we learn, that we know different news. And I think every single session that we have, I learn more about them, about their experience, about the reason that they are here, and how they cook and why they cook, or yeah, a lot of things. And also I learn from my students too, because they give me you know the step to continue, or just to go back and say, okay, we are going to again repeat this lesson or these things that they don't know. So I think, like Maritza say, when you are immersed with English environment, you learn more. So also you learn when you go to the grocery store and you hear, the people, what they say, and you understand and say, oh, I know they say that. Or you learn from when you read a newspaper, when you read different kind of topics and different articles. Every single day, I think you learn something new.
Okay. Catherine, Maritza, things that you feel like you've learned about being a student or about being a learner?
Oh, I feel so happy because I'm learning a lot, and you learn about your experience of your student, just partners of the class, and I feel and you learn everywhere that you go, and so great because being a student you learn a lot of things that help you. And for example, in my children appointment, I can speak in English, and for my job, because when I started studying English, I was unemployed, and right now I have a part-time job.
Great. Maritza, what about you?
In my case, I learned as a student to be patient with myself, to be constant, be persistent, and learned to organize my time better. I think was really helpful. And of course, from others, I learned that there are still great people in the world, people who give their own time to help each other, to help others, like me. I'm sorry, but I always, when I remember my first steps here and how the people that I found around, also my coworkers or the place that I work, they are really welcoming with me. So when I came to this country, I learned that it's still good people in the world.
That's a nice feeling to have, right? That's a nice lesson to get. What helped you be more patient with yourself? What helped you to get to that point?
Well, I have my profession in my country, so I thought that I was only that. I was only a psychology with my office, with my patient. When I came here, I have to understand that Maritza is not only the psychology. Maritza is a mother, is a person who have to learn, who have to understand because when I speak in Spanish, it's totally different when I speak in English. Now, and when you speak, you can show to everyone how educated you are. So I don't have enough vocabulary, probably, that I have in Spanish as a professional. That's why I have to understand the patience I have to be patient with myself to say, okay, this is not wrong. You are learning. I am continuing learning every day. Also, when I have to do the story time with my beautiful friend who is here, I saw her, Cheryl, and sometimes I say something and she moved her head and I say, what I say? Probably she didn't understood, but she's always so nice with me. And it's hard. You have to be patient with yourself. It's not like that you have to feel like you are doing wrong. You are in a process. And probably I will in my process for a long time more, but it's like a process.
Right. And Rachel in the chat points out that vocabulary learning never ends. That's true. I don't have a person to associate with this, but I saw a quote online a couple years ago, and it was something like, never make fun of somebody who mispronounces a word, because that means they learned it by reading. And I was like, that's a really good way to think about it, right? That person was exposed to that word, that person saw that word, right? And they didn't necessarily know how people pronounce that word, right? And so that's actually a good sign, right? That means that person's reading and their vocabulary is growing. And then they say it, and then we say, oh, actually, this is how you pronounce that word typically, right? And that's what all of us do, like when we're learning a new word. So I think that's really important. I think the other thing, Maritza, that you point out, and it's really important for us to remember as teachers and tutors, is we have no idea about the rich history of our students when they come to our class, right? That they are psychologists, they have all these other life experiences. One of my students at Make the Road in the spring was a man from Haiti who in Haiti got a degree in cinematography. So like in Haiti, he was like working in the film industry. And then I didn't know that for like the first 10 weeks, right? And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, you did film? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, do you know about Jonathan Demme's work in Haiti? He's like, oh yeah, Jonathan's a nice guy. And I'm like, oh, you know him on a first name basis, right? You know this famous American director on a first name basis. So like, yeah, we never know. All right. So the last question I want to have, because there's some questions from folks in the chat. You've mentioned a lot of things, but is there anything else that you wish teachers understood about being an adult learner? Right. So, people trying their hardest, right? The teachers and tutors doing their best. They're being kind. As Maritza said, they're good people, right? But is there something that you would wish that the teachers and tutors would also understand about being an adult learner?
I really want that they really continue supporting us. Because for you, most of you speak English very well. So it's something that you can share with other people. You can help other people. And just, that hopefully more non-profit organization like your organizations supporting students. We are like really desire to grow in different ways in this country, and just to demonstrate that we are capable to learn, to get a job, and also support our families if we have better opportunities in this country. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your dedication, your time, because I know nobody pay you nothing when you are tutor. And thank you. There are no words to express how grateful I am and I feel, and that you can share something that is easy for you with others.
Christian, you're really passing out that bribe money pretty freely, that people are like saying nice words left and right. Catherine, Maritza, things that you wish that teachers and tutors would know about adult learners?
Yes, I don't know if I have something to do about that, because I think the all tutor make an amazing job. They are dedicated, patients, and amazing. And they understand each student, because they know that some students have to work all time, have young children, have family. And for example, with the tutor that I work in Union and Middlesex County, that are amazing. They understand. I don't have any complaint about a student. For example, my tutors that I have, they send off the homework on Sunday and we have class on Thursday. We have a lot of time to make the homework. I think they are make a great job. A great job.
All right, great. Maritza, last thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, thank you to all the tutors, because they are doing a great job with us. It's not easy to teach children and to teach adults. I think the process for the adults to learn is different. It's the children, they get everything so fast, but it's different with us. Also, if you want to make a master at this age, it's different when you were at the school or the university when you were 20. You can see you feel more tired. It's the attention, the time of the attention that you can have is totally different. So the process is different. And because you are working, you have many things to do. And so I never have this problem, but I really appreciate that my teachers were very patient with me. They almost, if I couldn't do any homework, they say, okay, don't worry, you can do them for the next time. So they give me more time to do it, but the point is you have to do it. And another thing I think is really important, if you make mistakes, it's like they can help you. It's not easy. For me, the hard part is the pronunciation, for example. There still, when the English speakers say a word, sometimes the phonics are not the same in Spanish. So we, like at the S, we say really different, and it's hard to pronounce some words. So they repeat for me, they try to help me. It's, try to help with patience is really, really important. And also, I still have my tutor help me, and I go and I have meeting with her, and sometimes I can make it. And she said, it's okay, don't worry. I know you have to cook, you have to work. It's, she's always open arms to be there for me. And I am open arms for her too.
Okay, great. So there was a question from Tanya about your education in your home countries. So sounds like you all had, either a high school diploma or an advanced degree in your home country. So how important do you think the education that you got in your home country was when you came to the United States in terms of becoming a student or getting a job and getting acclimated?
Well, I think it's important, but it's the language made the difference. If you don't have English as a second language, it's a barrier for you. So I have my high school diploma. I have my psychologist degree. I have also my diploma in family therapy and play therapy with kids. But I sent everything to the West. But the problem is still the language. And second problem, the money. Because in order to continue in the same career, you have to study the master and everything. And when you have the family, you have the kids. My daughters are now in high school, so they are going probably in 3 or 4 years to the college. So I think to myself, they have to go first, and then I can go to the college again.
I mean, and I think, Maritza, I think that's a case where support or advocacy for adult education connects with other education advocacy, right? So if master's programs in college was more affordable across the board for everybody, then it would be easier for immigrants to the United States to go back into their profession, right? And so that would be not only a benefit for immigrants, but that would be a benefit for everybody, right? If we made college education more affordable for people, right? So that seems to me like a potential coalition there if we're thinking about, because we know college education is getting more and more and more expensive, right? And it's going to be pricing people out. Georgina, Catherine, thoughts about like your educational experience in your home country preparing you?
Yes, I have my high school diploma, and I study computer engineer system in my country. But Marisa say is the different language. It's so hard to start like this here. But that certification helped me a lot when I took the computer skill class here, because I was comfortable. I know that I knowledge about that. It was more quickly to me to do certification here in the United States in English.
Right. So building on the skills that you already had.
Yes.
Georgina, any thoughts about this?
Yeah, well, I have my master's degree in my country and also a bachelor's degree in chemistry. And well, I think education is power. So it's like you have some steps that build your knowledge, and maybe this is the way that is easy for me to understand more things. But even though I'm not able to have a job here because, like Marisa says, some certifications, some programs is expensive, etc. So, and more students that you have to have the same level, even though you have your master's in your country, you must have the same level here. And it has been really hard for me. And yeah, I just try to figure out what is the best option for me. That Marisa said, we have priorities. So our priorities are family, our kids in this moment, and maybe later. But I really like learn more new tools like computer systems and Excel and Word and things, because they have updated versions. Even though I learned in my country like 11 years ago or something like that when I was working over there. So I know that all the programs are changing. They are better. They have more new things, and I had the opportunity to learn more about these programs, and I use them.
Mm-hmm. Everything keeps moving. Everything keeps moving, right? All right. So we've got a little bit of time. Other questions for folks who are here? You can either put it in the chat or unmute yourself and ask the question to our student panel. Catherine wants to know, how much homework would you like each week?
For me, depend of the unit that we do in class. I have to do. We use two different books. What is a student book, and what is that, like a grammar, writing, and that is depend of the unit. Sometimes I can do like a 5-page, 4-page. Sometimes 2-page is more easily. Sometimes more hard. Depend.
Okay. It's interesting, Catherine, that you said page, because when I heard Catherine's question, I was thinking hours, like how many hours a week, right? But
hours,
I
sorry.
think, no, Catherine, I think your answer is better, right? It's not how many hours, but how many pages, how much content,
Yes.
you know, do you need? And so about 4 or 5. So,
And sometimes we have to write like an essay about some topic. It's depend on the unit that I work in that time.
all right, Maritza, Georgina, how much hours, not hours, how many pages, how many hours, how much homework per week?
Well, because we are really busy with our kids, we don't have a lot of time to do that. But I really like that idea that Catherine Mitch. First, she asked, "What do you want to learn for next session?" So sometimes we have some things on our mind. For example, if we are going to move to another place, or if we are going to go to the doctors, or we have something really special topic to talk about. And the other thing is that she combines, different skills during the session. So some videos, we read an article, and we talk about this kind of vocabulary and grammar. And also we have our own, we have a lot of conversations about whatever topic. So I think combine all the things together, it is a really nice exercise. And yeah, grammar is my headache. But I keep going, and I just, okay, I can do it. I really desire to learn more.
Okay. All right, other.
Well, actually, I think that the homework is really important, because if you live in a house where everyone speaks Spanish and you feel comfortable talking your own language, if you don't have the homework, probably you don't touch English all the week or another day. So we need the homework. But I think it would be helpful if the homework could have some flexibility. For example, you can have some maybe pages to write, but also if you can do that because you don't have time, you can see a movie with your kids or something and talk with the tutor about the movie or the scene that you read or you did with the tutor. So don't that show up without anything. Yeah. Do you know if you can do the pages? Okay, we can understand, but what you read or what you watch at the TV, that flexibility will be great. And if we're talking about time, I think if we put in our mind that we have to expose to the English, it's not like really hard to do the homework, because you have to say at least 30 minutes a day, listen to radio or watch TV. That could be your homework. And talk to me about that the next class.
Right. Georgina, you want to add something?
I just want to add something that also it depends on your student. For example, if you detect that she or he has, she really need to practice more, like writing or reading. I mean, the students give you the step to continue and repeat more lessons if they need it.
Right. I do a continuing story in my class. And when I have a chance, I record myself reading it and upload it to the web so that my students can read it and also listen to my pronunciation as they're reading the story. So I think, yeah, Maritza, I think your point is really important, that it's not just filling out a worksheet, right? It's doing all these other activities as well.
I want to add something that was really helpful for me.
Yeah.
When I started working in the library, what I did is take the book and also take the audiobook at the same time.
Yeah.
So when you say about what you did,
Yeah.
I remember that. I have the audiobook and I read it. So I am practicing my pronunciation, my reading, you know, that is really important.
Yep. All right, other questions or thoughts? And while I'm asking the question, I just dropped the link for the PD certificate into the chat. Hopefully it's the right one. So other questions for the student panelists? Sylvia, was that a hand?
Eric, I have a question. It's Richleen.
Sure.
Without my hair combed, no makeup, I'm wearing my patriotic shirt because I'm going to see the Blue Angels. I have a question for you students. I give homework. I give the homework. I'm a teacher, as I said, full-time and now I'm part-time. I give the homework. Will you close that door, please? I give the homework in the workbook that correlates to the lessons I did in class that day. And some students do the homework, some don't. But I begin every class by reviewing all the homework. Now, if you were one of the students who did your homework, how would it make you feel to know that you took the time to do your homework? Other students didn't do their homework, but yet as a class, we are going over everything together anyway. How do you feel about that?
Well,
Did you hear me?
in my case, that I have some students that they did their homework and they didn't do their homework. I just say them that practice is for you to learn more things. I mean, I know all of us are busy, all of us, we have, you know, different kind of things on our mind and, you know, but the practice is for you and the knowledge is for you. Maybe I'm not 100 expert, but if you don't practice, that is for you. So remember and just keep going. And like someone say, if I didn't do my homework this week, maybe for next week, I must, you know, complete that. And it's a good exercise by myself.
I understand. I'm also asking, does it make you feel like if you are the student who did your homework, but I'm spending the first 20 minutes, half hour reviewing the homework, which you did, would you sit there and think, well, she's wasting my time. I did my homework. Why aren't we continuing in the book? Would a thought like that go through your head?
In my opinion, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead,
In my
Catherine.
opinion, it's individual because I know that I have to do my homework. If I want to learn, if I want to keep learning, I have to do my homework. And in my class, for example, if the tutor that I say, if you don't did the homework, he keep the class. But for example, it's like a 5 question. She said, want to ask what question, or she asked for someone and she say try to do it, but she don't stay in the unit if you don't do the homework because you had to do it. But she's so kind too. She don't say nothing like this, but she keeping with the unit that we had to do every week.
Okay. Thank you for your answers, ladies.
I want to add something. It's like, yeah, definitely the only person who get benefits with the homework is yourself. So you have to do the homework. But if you have to review the homework as a teacher, it's not, if you did the homework, you're not losing your time as a student because you have any other topics or other aspects of the homework that you have to learn. The pronunciation probably you can get better because you are writing the homework, but when you have the pronunciation from your teacher, it's going to be also a review for you. So you never lose your time at class.
Thank you for reassuring me. And you're right. You're right. If I may continue to talk, Eric, that not only do I say, okay, repeat after me, please. Is this the correct answer or not? And if it's the incorrect answer, tell me why. And sometimes the homework sentences will be a teachable moment that, oh yeah, let me tell you about this. So I thank you. And now I feel better. Now I feel better about taking 20 minutes to half an hour to review the homework. Because a lot of my students go right to work. When I teach in the morning, they go right to work after class. And sometimes they work till late at night. And then when I teach in the evening, of course, some students have already come from work, and after class, they're going to eat or not eat and get to bed. And they don't have, a lot of them don't have time. And I appreciate that they don't have the time. Thank you for reassuring me that my instincts were right.
All right, good. I'm glad that you feel better. That's what we're here for. Other questions? We got a couple minutes before we close. Yeah, Sylvia's got a question.
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
I make an analogy when I talk to my students. I said, if you are a piano student, to be a pianist, you meet with your teacher and you read the music note by note. When you go home and if you practice that, the next week you come, there is a song. But without the practice, there is no song. So when I teach something, a new concept or new vocabulary, you go home and you read that many times, you practice. When you come back, you can apply what was taught here. That's my analogy.
Right. Thanks, Sylvia. All right, so I want to thank Maritza, Georgina, and Catherine for spending time with us this morning and sharing their experience and their insight. It's always, incredibly valuable to hear directly from students about their experience and their ideas. And I want to thank the rest of you for coming out on a Saturday morning to this.